Hey, Ron Harvey here again, and we want to take a minute to welcome you to our second video in this three-part video series on building a secure retirement plan. And the second video is going to be about the investment myths out there. And before we get into that, please take a minute and down at the box below and leave us your comments, or if you have any questions, put that in there. We'd love to get your feedback on this because it helps us build a better video series for our goal of obtaining that secure retirement plan. The goals here then on the second video is to make sure that we can save enough money to live in retirement to protect our standard of living, okay? And number two is getting the risk out of our investments so that we can have a plan to protect against this market loss, this market volatility. And we also, again, don't want to jeopardize that standard of living. And number three, we want to get a reasonable rate of return on our investments. It pays as a premium over and above the inflationary rate. Otherwise, we're not going to go forward with this. And four, it's really important, again, as I said before, about getting the expenses out of your portfolio so that we can increase the return simply by getting those expenses out and leaving those back in there for growth in your plan in the future. And the number one myth that we want to talk about here is I have a product that guarantees an 8% rate of return per year. Now, we talked about this before, okay? You're going to see this particular myth in most variable annuities and most fixed index annuities, where that agent or that broker advisor is going to tell you, I have a product that will earn guaranteed rate of return of 7 or 8%. Well, we know the truth is that there's no investments out there in today's current interest rate environment that is going to pay you that kind of rate of return. That's just an emotional appeal made by that advisor to try to get you to buy this benefit inside that annuity. So as I said earlier, this specific benefit also has an expense to it, and that expense grows every year, and that expense is charged against your account value, and it's actually going to eat into the return. So what we recommend is you avoid these kind of benefits that are sold by misconception and also cost you money. The next myth is, I have several different investments, mutual funds, stocks, and so therefore I'm diversified. Well, the truth is, until you analyze the different asset classes that you're in, you really don't know if you're diversified or not. For example, if you have a portfolio that's mainly large growth stocks or large growth mutual funds and other classes are not represented, you're not truly diversified. And also, if you have a portfolio that has a lot of stocks, maybe 80 stocks in it, and you think you're diversified because you have 80 stocks, really all you have is 80 stocks. It doesn't have any bearing whatsoever over the fact of whether you're diversified or not. You just have 80 stocks. The next myth is, I can outperform the market if I choose the right investments and get in at the right time. Truth is, outperforming the market is very difficult. We know, based on various studies, that 82% of the mutual funds managers out there, and there's 30,000 funds currently, that 82% of these people have actually underperformed the market. So what you're actually doing is you're paying them good money to underperform the market. It doesn't make any sense. It's very, very difficult to time the market, and very few people have been able to do it. Myth number four is, the more aggressive I am with my portfolio, the higher my rates of return are. Well, the truth here is that oftentimes a more conservative approach will outperform the aggressive one because you eliminate the majority of losses over time. We see this time and time again, that if you take the time span out to say 10 years or more, an aggressive portfolio is going to have 2 or 3 years in that time period when the market may have dropped 42% like it did in 2000 and 2008. And the reality is, the clients that we work with that are in their 60s and 70s or maybe older, they cannot afford that kind of loss because they do not have the time to build that back up over the next 4 or 5 years to get to where they're breaking even again. And also, what we've observed based on our own research is the fact that a more conservative portfolio over that length of time, in many times, will actually outperform that aggressive portfolio because we've gotten the volatility taken out of that portfolio, made it more aggressive, and the average rates of return go up. Myth number five, I have enough saved that I can meet my income during retirement. The truth is, most people forget to account for that silent killer out there of most good retirement plans, and that's inflation. Inflation is, if it's at 3% over a 10-year period of time, is going to reduce the purchasing power of your money by about 30%. And if you're on a fixed income plan where you're in retirement, that inflationary rate will decimate a large percentage of your retirement savings. So it's very important that you get a rate of return over and above that inflationary rate. And to do that, since we're all living longer, you are still what we would consider a long-term investor, even if you reach retirement age. You have to keep working that portfolio to make sure you get that return over and above the inflationary rate. And number 6, I pay pretty low fees on my investments. But the truth is, you really need to understand how the fees on the different types of investments work. And that doesn't make any difference whether it's stocks, bonds, mutual fund class shares, annuity fees by type. It doesn't make any difference. All these products have some kind of fees associated with it. And it's really important that you understand how these fees work, what kind of fees they are, and how it's adversely affecting your portfolio. So a real approach to this would be taking a real close analysis and look at these fees and then making a determination if they're reasonable or not, and if not, try to get them down, because as I said earlier, for every 1% that you have in fees, it decreases your return by 1%. Likewise, if we can analyze your portfolio and help you reduce those fees by 1%, we can increase your return by that same amount. Myth number 7, I'll need less income in retirement than when I'm working. Well, the truth is, most people spend the same amount of money or maybe even more in retirement than when they're working. There's other kind of expenses out there. You tend to take more vacations maybe, or maybe there's some other financial needs that, because as we get older, such as long-term care needs and others, that really can make it more expensive in retirement than when you were working. So we need to make sure that since we're living longer in retirement, that we are still investors even after we retire, so that we can get that income coming in to offset these additional expenses that you may have during retirement. Myth number 8, I have to purchase long-term care insurance in order to provide for the expenses of long-term care. Well, the truth is, there are life insurance products out there that will allow you to accelerate the death benefit forward while you're alive and use that to pay long-term care needs. Now, the reality is that 70% of us are all going to need some type of long-term care. A traditional long-term care policy is very expensive and hard to qualify for. And once you stop needing that, the premium stop, you lose all that money that you paid into in the past. If, however, you have a life insurance policy that provides this same type of a benefit, and let's say that the benefit is based on a percentage of your death benefit, let's say 2% per month, and the death benefit is $300,000, that company is going to pay you a benefit for long-term care of $6,000 a month. And let's say that you do need some long-term care. Maybe it's in-home care or going into a nursing home. And let's say that you utilize $150,000 of that death benefit before you either don't need it anymore or maybe you pass on or whatever. The balance of that $300,000 gets paid out to your beneficiary. So you don't lose that money that you've been paying for like you would in traditional long-term care insurance. Also, it's easier to qualify. You can qualify for life insurance benefits with a long-term care rider a lot easier in some cases than trying to qualify for typical long-term care insurance. So this is a benefit a lot of our people are interested in. And if this is something that would appeal to you, we'd be happy to talk to you about it in the future. So then, the number one challenge that we have in wrapping up this video is getting rid of the fees and expenses in your portfolio, because as I said earlier, for every 1% of expenses that you have in your current portfolio, it's going to reduce your returns by 1%. Likewise, if we analyze your portfolio and we find ways to decrease those expenses by 1%, it's going to increase your return. You're going to keep that money in your account, increase your return by 1%. These expenses can be detrimental to your overall retirement plan. So if we can help you get rid of them, like I said earlier, it will increase your rate of return and help you build up your retirement plan a little faster. Quick solution here. Complete the homework sheet by clicking on the box down below, and it's going to give you a PDF worksheet to fill out, and it will determine how much you're paying each year in fees, and if you have insurance products like annuities, and we can, if we need to, call your insurance company, and they'll be able to tell us how much we're paying. It's very common for me with a client who comes in with a variable annuity get the insurance company on the phone and let them detail to us exactly what those expenses are in there. And in most cases, the client is really surprised as to how much they're paying in expenses and get really upset at it sometimes. Or we can go to prospectus and I can detail those out for you. But it's really important that you make an effort to determine what these fees are, because in all likelihood, it may make you want to make some changes to improve the holdings in your portfolio. So thank you for watching this second video. Please take a second to go to the bottom of the page and write in any questions that you might have, or maybe some feedback as to what you thought of this video that would help us going forward. The next video we're going to be talking, or we're going to be wrapping all these videos up, and we're going to be showing some actual case studies of people that we've helped in the past, okay, and the recommendations that we have made for them as they continue to build their retirement plan for the future. So please download your homework for this video and then watch your inbox for an email with the next video, and I look forward to seeing you there.